Next, we're going to go to oscillator 2 and head on up to yet another fantastic filter. The phaser filter. Okay, so what a phaser does is it creates a set of frequency spikes by shifting the phase of using these all-pass filters. Anyway, the point of the matter is it creates these frequency spikes in a sound, and then you move them and pretty sounds occur. Right now they are static, so our sawtooth sounds like this. The first knob, wave, it's labeled as cutoff, but what the wave does is it just changes the shape of these spikes that exist in our frequency range that are generated by shifting phase. So you get a traditional phaser sound, which I don't know about you, but I've always loved the phaser, and I always knew that it was basically a filtering effect. And so like I was always like, okay, so synthesizers are predicated on a filter. Like that is one of the main things that happens, especially in synthesizers of this type, is that we're using a filter, but we always use like this wholesale filter that just takes a giant frequency range out, like either the entire low frequency or the entire high frequency or everything but this weird band of frequencies. And if you think about it, there are an infinite amount of frequencies, and we're just taking it's like, there's no precision here. We're just taking a big chunk out. So I've always been like, shouldn't you be able to go in and adjust specific frequencies? While this is not that, it's closer to that because you're actually shifting filtered frequencies throughout the range of the sound. And that's why the phasers always sounded so cool, is because you're actually, you are filtering and attenuating and amplifying different frequencies across the entire range of the sound. Anyway, so when we move the wave, which is our cutoff, we get a traditional filter sound. And you might say, well, or traditional phaser sound. And you might say, well, okay, we have a phaser though in our effects section, which we do. But this is one where you get to decide the wave that you apply to that effect, either by not having it move at all and getting various timbres. So you can just use it to create different timbres, or you can move it, but use something that varies over time. Like again, your LFO sample and hold, or sample and a lagged sample and hold, and then you don't have that traditional sine wave chorus back and forth. You have something that moves in a variety of different ways. And there's a bunch of different ways you could do it to get a really wide range of different ways that this moves. So that's the benefit of having this phaser filter. And like on a phaser, our timbre knob acts as feedback, which just basically feeds the sound back into itself, further accentuating the accentuations. Making the effect more extreme. So without any feedback, it would sound like this. But with feedback, it sounds like this. Really crazy. And then our last setting, which is shape, it actually controls the poles. Now this is how many, quote, spikes you have in your phase. So the more spikes, the more wild outcomes you get. So let's just go through them. We'll set the feedback on something relatively low. We'll go down to 2 poles. This is a 2-pole phaser. some ways it sounds just like a notch, a normal notch filter when you've got just two of them. So let's go up to 4. And then up to 6. And up to 8. Did we go up to 8? I can't see very well. It's getting weirder and weirder. 10. And 12. It is really a cool effect. What happens when we turn our timbre or our feedback all the way up? It gets pretty obnoxious. Let's turn it halfway. And see, again, you can use this. You know, a phaser usually just has the effect cycling. It's got like an LFO that's just phasing you. It's just basically moving you in a sine wave shape through that phase, those phase changes. But you have the ability just to put like a static envelope on this effect if you wanted, you know, and that's actually, let's just do it just for fun right now. Let's see, we're on 2. So here, let's do this. And since I'm using the cycling envelope for this, which we haven't talked about, to think I've made so many videos and we're still not even to the envelopes yet. Oh dear. Anyway, digital sense. So we're just using the cycling envelope to affect to move through the range of the wave setting. So instead of that constant sine wave moving back and forth, we're just getting a single wave shape that pulls us through there, which makes it more like a filter sound than an effect. And it's really cool to see this intersection of, you know, a typical synthesizer function and an effect. So the effect actually becomes a synthesizer function. Anyway, that is our phasing filter found on the Arturia MiniFreak.